All right, we are back here, it looks like. Waiting for that video to connect here. Got a black screen. There we go. All right, we've got meteorologist Eric Burke and Jeff DeNoyers tracking the storms in studio on Facebook. I'm not sure what happened to my Facebook Live, but I'm sure we'll go through and figure it out. I think we were both going to the same area on WAFF, the Facebook page there, so I think that kind of threw things off. Yeah. So again, I cross post when I go on Facebook to other platforms, and I think the cross posting is probably what messed everything up. But we're kind of back here. Tornado watch has been issued for parts of North Alabama. I'm going to get in there in just a second. Yeah, it's for Coleman, Lawrence, and Morgan County. It goes till 5 o'clock, but it's not going to go that long. It'll probably be gone in about, I'd say, a couple of hours. And we're really right on the edge of that wind shear. I think we're in the northern part of the watch area, so I think our primary threat here is damaging winds and large hail. Last from the Weather Service was considerable damage possible. That was at 10:14 with this storm. But right now, I don't see any other updates here with that. So I'll kind of move this around. But we've got two really strong storms. So we're getting a little bit of shear on the backside of this storm near Phil Campbell, but then it quickly fills in and kind of gets absorbed, if that makes any sense, as the storm moves east. Both of these storms capable of hail. And let me zoom out here. We've got this corridor here. Notice from Hackleburg south down towards Smoke Rise and Warrior in Blount County, southern Coleman County, you get along that boundary in south, and that's where the primary tornado risk is going to be. Well, look at all this rain coming in. Again, this has been a really difficult forecast. It's a very odd weather pattern that we're in, too. So overall, a majority of the severe weather is going to be confined. I think that the worst of the weather for our viewing area is really focused down here, Phil Campbell to Hackleburg, and tracking to the along that boundary east and southeast. So excuse me, while Decatur, you are in the tornado watch, I think the worst of this is going to end up in southern Morgan County. So watching this closely here as this moves through. I'm going to take a look at the vertically integrated liquid again and let that update there as well. Still no update. I'm just wondering if 1014. Oh, that was 1014. So they continue that. So, okay, I'm just making sure I wasn't logged off of the NWS chat. So very large hail. And this has been over a fairly rural area here so far this morning. So I think we've got this probably golf ball size hail. You get south of the sheriff's office there in Franklin County on Highway 43 down to Phil Campbell. And this is going to continue. Most of this is tied here right along that boundary that's going to keep this down into the Bankhead National Forest. So Hanceville, Bear Creek, Phil Campbell, Hackleburg. I'd say just on the north side of Hackleburg is where we're going to see the more intense hail with that. You bet, Joseph. Let me see some of your... Sheffield, just heavy rain up there. And there's more rain coming in. Gunnersville, chances thunderstorms later today, but overall, as you kind of see the trend here, it's right along this boundary, tracking to the east-southeast is where the worst of this weather is going to be. It tries to fire up here, get north towards Town Creek, but we've got lightning, we've got heavy rain there, but the hail threat's just a little south of there. Let me take a look at the wind velocity in these storms. And notice the trend here. This is all tracking east-southeast. So I don't see a whole lot going on here, even though you're under the tornado watch in Morgan County. It's an odd-looking watch, too. It's like it was an afterthought to add Lawrence and Morgan County in it. The original mesoscale discussion did not include them. So I think what happened was Huntsville decided to add. And that's what happens. Basically, the Storm Prediction Center comes out with the watch, with the mesoscale discussion, and they say, this is the area we're probably going to put a watch under. Then they go into conference call with the local weather offices, and Huntsville probably said, we want to add Morgan County, Lawrence County to this, because Coleman County was in the original discussion with it. But I think the setup for the severe weather is really going to stay along this boundary here with that storm moving to Hackleburg. And again, the northwest flow coming through that area really reinforces that with me. So while you've got a severe thunderstorm warning there in Moulton, a majority of that, the worst of the weather is following a southeast trend here. Phil Campbell, southeast towards Hackleburg and Haleyville. Let me switch back to the radar here. Yeah, so there is some wind in here, very heavy rain, but you get north of this. Let's see if I can draw. You pretty much get north of this boundary here, and it's a little more stable. There's still lightning and a lot of thunder, and then you get a lot more rain back here to the west, and this is going to help stabilize into the afternoon. So all of this up here was not forecast by any of the models to be moving in. So that's just something else we'll watch. And notice the trend here, over here in Mississippi. These storms, there is roughly a boundary that's pretty much right in here. And the storms are going to initiate back to the west and track east-southeast. And we're on the northern edge of this, so we're right on the edge of that potential for severe weather. No updates from the Weather Service as of right now. So let me know if you guys have had any damage over there or any what your hail size is. Yeah, you get the environment set up where you're going to get a lot of lightning and thunder, and the acoustics are pretty good over there too. So the lightning is not indicative in this case of severe weather. Yeah. The boundary, it's going to shift a little bit north today, but I think overall it's going to kind of hold. And let me take a look at wind shear real quick here. Storm Rally Felicity. Yeah, see, even Storm Rally Felicity, we're right on that boundary. So let me take this off. And for tornadoes, Storm Rally Felicity, typically you're going to want to be about 200. And that lines up about right in here. I can hear the thunder here at the house now. So this is where actually, let me drop in here. Right now, the helicity, and that's what gives these storms spin enough for tornadoes, is pretty much hanging out over here. So that's where the tornado threat really is right now. And that's why these storms here aren't producing tornadoes from Phil Campbell to Haleyville. They're primarily just straight line wind and really large hail. Although what happens is you get a storm on a boundary. So this one definitely needs to be watched. But the worst part of this is going into the Bankhead National Forest. So moving towards Bear Creek and Haleyville. Let's take a look at the velocity. Yeah, I don't see any rotation, at least low-level mesocyclone rotation. I see mid-level rotation west of Phil Campbell, and that's that's what's producing the hail. So there's two different types of rotation. This one here is in the mid-levels. What we want to look for when looking at tornado potential is going to be on the south flank of the storm. So we've got the large hail being produced there, and I bet if I switch over to this Ville value, it's going to kind of peak here. So we've probably got quarter to golf ball size hail going on there. Still no update. Let's do a ping. Okay. I'm still logged in, so just making sure. And some people are at work, so the thing about it, you may not get the damage reports right away because people maybe not be at home, and this has been over kind of a rural area in some situations. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Let's on 3. So this is the energy helicity. I mean, not energy helicity. That's the helicity, storm relative helicity. And this is what I was circling earlier. This is northern Mississippi, and you get just a little bit. You got 100 in this area here. So the Cape, the atmosphere's stabilized up here in northern Mississippi, but we've got about 2,000 capes. So we still have plenty of cape, and that's that energy to produce storms. Still plenty of that there. Let's take a look at the I'm going to look at composite indices, energy helicity index. This is really a key, I think. And notice how this orange, the brown area, it's all south. So it's just odd that they would issue a tornado watch for Alabama when I think there's just as much of a tornado threat over there in Mississippi. Well, Amanda, you haven't missed a whole lot. We've got severe thunderstorms moving through. Primarily watching this area in white here. That's large hail. And let me put the towns on there. Again, large view here. We've got Huntsville right in here, Athens, and then it's all southwest of the Huntsville metro area. There's a severe thunderstorm warning out for Moulton, but I just don't see a threat there right now. But a lot of lightning, very heavy rain. This is actually going to help out as we get into the afternoon. We've got this area of stable air here due to all this rain. That's going to slide to the east. So the most unstable air today is likely going to hang out down here to the south. And that's why there's a higher risk for severe weather down there. But real unusual weather pattern, to say the least here. Very heavy rain. Strong gusty winds move through Moulton on the way to Decatur. But the threat for severe weather is likely in this Phil Campbell storm. And, you know, they have not continued that warning here. Notice the polygon here. Let me draw that out for you. See, this was the original severe thunderstorm warning right here. And the worst of the storm is now east of that location. So let's see what's going on with that storm. I'm going to go to velocity first. I'm not getting that. I got to figure out what's up with my internet because it seems to be failing me. So yeah, I mean the worst part of this storm is now east of Phil. It's over Phil Campbell, and you're not even under a severe thunderstorm warning. So again, I'm not sure what's going on. They should have reissued that warning. And Phil Campbell, you're probably getting large hail right now. Now let's take a look. Damaging wind threat here. We're not streaming on our... I'm just looking at our other apps here, up here above the screen there. We're not streaming here, so I'll have to make a note of that. We should probably be streaming on that. No, we're streaming on our app, I think. So again, let me check the weather service. Yeah, I think they've just reissued here for that. Severe thunderstorm warning, considerable damage possible for Franklin and Lawrence County. So they did just extend that warning. So I was waiting on that warning to come out. I can hear Eric. He's breaking into programming. So there's that severe storm there over Phil Campbell. So Phil Campbell, if this is okay, we got a report from Franklin County Storm Spotter. 70 plus mile per hour winds and large hail greater than 2 inches in Franklin County with the warned storm. He's on the Franklin County Marion County line. That is going to be right here near Bear Creek. So we've got a lot of damage possible with this Phil Campbell to Bear Creek storm. And that's moving east-southeast. So the odd thing is you've got this storm here moving in this way, and you've got these other storms north of the boundary moving this way through Moulton. So let's take a look at the velocity again. Yeah, it's going to be hard to sample this storm here if it's producing 70-mile-an-hour winds. Let's go in here and use storm relative. It's still tough to sample that there. But we have gotten confirmed reports of over 2-inch diameter hail with this storm down here moving into Phil Campbell and Bear Creek area. This one's probably going to stay south of Moulton. Okay. All right, so kind of the overview here. We've got a nasty storm moving towards Trinity. A lot of lightning, very heavy rain with that one. And this other one's more dangerous, of course. It's right on that boundary. Let me check some things here. Yeah, very intense lightning with this storm. This is just a nasty storm down here in Phil Campbell. Yeah, Amanda's watching all of it at the same time, yeah. So as far as a lot of people have mentioned what's going on in the shoals, we've got lightning, very heavy rain going on, but right now I don't see any primary threat for severe weather there. There's going to be some smaller hail. Let's talk about down south here. You get on the northern side of Smith Lake, going to have to start watching for that potential there. This moving towards Addison and Double Springs. The worst of this weather is tracking east-southeast into Coleman County and southern Morgan County. All right, Skywarn's up. I'm waiting to get some reports here out of Phil Campbell. Let me check Facebook, see if there's anything going on there. It's odd that my Facebook Live didn't even show up there. Didn't save on Facebook unless I'm refreshing. We'll see what happens there. So again, the worst of the weather down here is southern parts of Lawrence County, southeast Franklin County, moving into Winston County, eventually moving into southern Morgan County and southern Coleman County. And it may be close for areas, say Douglas, in around Boaz and Albertville in about an hour and a half or so. But keep in mind, these storms are really right along this boundary. Okay. Let's see here. Just some clouds from I have no reports here so far coming in. Let me check my old Facebook Live and yeah, I think what happened was we were both trying to stream on the 48 page for some reason. Yeah, again, no additional reports here of damage. We don't have any damage reports, but we know Storm Spotters reported winds perhaps around 70 miles per hour. I will say that the radar doesn't quite support that high of wind, but we definitely have some large hail. And they reported about 2-inch in diameter. And this is now east of Phil Campbell, north of Haleyville. And the storm's kind of peaking, flaring up a little bit more in the Decatur area. So I'm going to switch radar sources here. We're going to go to the Columbus High Top. So this area here, just south of Trinity, northwest of Hartselle, showing maybe an increase in hail size, maybe dime size hail with that. But you can see even on this radar perspective that this storm here is moving more east and southeast towards, say, Addison, eventually down to Coleman. And this one's moving more east, so they're kind of splitting here. So that's interesting to see that. All right. Let's take a look at velocity here. Now we're just on the outer edge here. This velocity is a lot better, doing a lot better job than the one over at Columbus Air Force Base. I'm not sure what's going on with that though, because I'm going to switch here. Whoop, get rid of that. So overall, here's our strong gusty winds here from Moulton down to Haleyville. And this is all tracking to the east and southeast. So just heads up down here, Double Springs, Addison, over towards Hartselle. Still no additional information from the National Weather Service. Let me check my stream comments here. What about Huntsville? The Huntsville metro area, this is likely going to pass just southeast of us. From Moulton southwest. So here's the primary area that's producing the thunderstorms, or at least the stronger ones. It's from Moulton back to Haleyville. So let me draw a line here. Getting noisy outside my house. So this is basically going to go like this, the way it looks right now. Let me switch over. I don't know why it's having an issue with that. My internet keeps going in and out. AT&T. Okay, warning for the storm. Okay, we're going with a new warning here for Lawrence and Morgan County. About 1.5 inches hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds for Decatur and areas to the south. And that one's coming out for that storm. Okay, why is this not working for me? Again, internet outage here. I'm going to have to... Boy, that's a really impressive storm over here west of Phil Campbell. That was at 10:14, though. Okay. It's showing a lot of storm top divergence there. So... a lot of wind with this storm coming into northern Winston County and southern Lawrence County. This is in a fairly rural area right now as you go into the Bankhead National Forest, so we're not going to get a lot of reports immediately from this. Let me take a look at the VIL values here. Yeah, they're not terrible there. Let me take a look at something else here. Digital vertically integrated liquid. There's that new warning. And that does move into Madison County too, so your no weather radio may have gone off. Again, the one for Colbert and Franklin County and Lawrence County has expired. Here comes the new warning now that does include Decatur, Mooresville, Triana, Owens Crossroads, areas of South Huntsville, including the Redstone Arsenal. Possibility of hail, and there's some strong gusty winds in this storm as well. But by far, the worst storm is still south of Moulton there. And the fact we haven't had any reports so far of this other storm. So again, the storm continues to move to the east a bit on the northern edge. But this storm right now may have 1 inch hail or less. It's just not showing a lot of hail, but it is intensifying. Well, at least it's kind of jumped there a little bit south of Trinity. This is pretty much on the Beltline in Decatur right now. Yeah, AT&T worked really good at my old house, but it just hasn't been working as good here. Checking Facebook. Actually, I'm going to go check my email. So again, we're not getting multiple reports of damage here, so that's some good news. And considering this just went through Phil Campbell, probably give it about 10 to 15 more minutes before we know exactly what happened with that storm over there in Phil Campbell. I had a storm spotter in the area reporting 70 mile an hour. Actually, he said 70 plus mile per hour winds. That could have been a downburst too, because it didn't show up like a prolonged area of high wind. I'm going to switch over here, and we're just going to talk about the rain here. So again, severe thunderstorm warning from Morgan County, southern Limestone County, and southern Madison County. And we've got, again, out in Muscle Shoals, you're just not going to get a break until at least noon today. More showers and storms. Those are not severe coming in. Okay. Checking my email. No reports of any damage here in my email either. Okay. That storm moving into Decatur, again, if it's severe, we're going to know it here pretty soon. Let's see what we got here. Again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in here. We've got about 147 of you on here. Again, I had a Facebook Live going earlier, and it just, I don't know what happened. It just, I'll figure out from an IT guy at the station what happened with there. Very heavy rain coming in back into the northwest corner of the state. Let me switch radar sites here. And you can just see very heavy rain all moving across. And this is going to be good. It'll help. Well, we need the rain for sure, but overall, this heavy rain here is going to stabilize the atmosphere a little bit for the afternoon. So again, this was not really forecast by any of the model guidance here to be moving through. It was all supposed to pretty much be out of here by about 10 o'clock, in fact, 9 o'clock in the morning. Looking farther to the south, new severe thunderstorm warnings back here to the west. Let's switch over to high top again. And no other reports coming out. Let's take a look at the hail. Getting here to Decatur, this storm is actually moving east and northeast a bit, so it may actually end up paralleling 565 here into Huntsville for the Redstone Arsenal area as well. And right now, that's the strongest storm. Look at that one. That one's just collapsed over there northwest of Double Springs. So that's some good news. That's what we want to see, collapsing. Bill, I think we're probably going to see, it's going to be really, really muggy out there. And given the time of year, and it's not going to take much to trigger, but I still think the highest threat overall is going to be south of us. As we go later into the afternoon and evening hours, we're probably going to see another big round of heavy rain. And I'm going to try to get that up for you here in a second here. Let me switch back over. So the strongest storm right now is moving into Decatur, right on the belt line there. But it's not to say the other one moving towards Double Springs still doesn't have a lot of wind with it. So I am going to switch over to pivotal weather here. Minimize this other screen. So I'm going to get a view here. Okay, so we're going to look at model guidance here. Again, that storm moving into Decatur right now. Is the stronger cell, at least it has the capability of larger hail, but I'm thinking it's still below severe limits. This is from the National Weather Service. Correction, the warning ended up covering Morgan, Lawrence, Limestone, and Marshall and Madison County. So again, extreme western Marshall County with that warning. There's been a recent strengthening of this cell, which we've been talking about. Please pass along any reports. So again, no reports here coming in thus far with this. So let's log in here. So let's talk about, I don't know if local works or not. Let's see. Let's see here. Hey, that works. That works okay. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and get the let's do the HRRR. We're going to loop it. So here's going to be later today. And this is around noon today, 1 o'clock. This all becomes fairly rain-cooled. So here's 5 o'clock this evening. We're quiet. Notice the storms down south, down towards Meridian and Tuscaloosa and Montgomery. And that's midnight tonight. So this does not show any redevelopment up here. Again, that's the HRRR model. It keeps this boundary to the south and east. They continued the severe thunderstorm warning for Franklin and Lawrence County till 11:15, but the wording's kind of down. It says maybe 1-inch hail with that and 60-mile-an-hour winds. So that storm is weakening. And I have a feeling this Decatur storm is probably going to weaken some here as well. So let's switch from the HRRR. Let's go the NAM 3K model. I'll get into some more severe weather mode here in a second. And I'm waiting on data. So this is, it's loading. Notice 11 o'clock this morning, it still shows those clusters. It shows that additional rain coming into Florence right there, and that's right around 1 o'clock. And then notice the shift to the south, a complete shift to the south by 1:30, 2 o'clock this afternoon. And I think Birmingham's going to get hit pretty hard with this line of thunderstorms here. Okay, we just got a report of nickel-size hail in Decatur. So nickels, size of nickels there in Decatur. Severe hail begins at quarters. But nickels will get your attention. So here's showing this break, 3, 4 in the afternoon. Notice the boundary to the north there at 5 o'clock in Mississippi. Moving more north again. But very, very quiet. Boy, just not showing much of anything. This is just complete opposite of what it had yesterday. Let's see what's going on with the instability here. Surface-based Cape. This is the Cape. It gets a little bit more robust around 6 o'clock, but notice all that area in white where you can see the base map, that's clearly showing rain-cooled air. And notice how all that Cape's way south, and then we get to tomorrow. This is tomorrow afternoon. It's all well south of us again. So we'll get another, look at that Cape there. Just another big blow up of thunderstorms South of Tuscaloosa and Montgomery tomorrow. Again, these are MCSs. This is just a difficult forecast for sure. So that's that. Let's see what HRRR shows on that. I'm out of coffee. Now the storm is weakening in Decatur now. But the storm is intensifying a little bit down in Coleman. Let me show you that real quick. So we've got just a little bit of new development from Coleman to Fairview. That's probably going to track into Arab, maybe some dime-size hail. And the storm near Double Springs has kind of flared back up just a little bit as well. I'm looking at this cape from the HRRR. Man, it just kills it. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to go regional. All right, so let's talk about the weekend. All right, switch over to I don't want to use that. We'll go GFS here. And we'll go to the 060 run. We're watching Sunday for the potential for some strong storms. And you're wondering why we're getting the severe weather. Notice this really strong wind here in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Again, here's more wind shear to the south. So the jet stream's really strong in purple there across the southeast and even the Tennessee Valley. So that's why we're starting to get more and more of this pattern here. Now I'm going towards Sunday here, and notice the increase in the jet stream. Got a rapidly increasing storm northeast Coleman County. Again, that's the one that the Weather Service I just mentioned. A warning may be coming out for that. Again, that would include Fairview, Baileyton, and probably southern Marshall County. But what we're looking at here, this is the forecast increase in wind and this trough coming in. So Father's Day, gonna have to watch that close. And then the pattern kind of breaks down. And notice how we get the trough out west. So severe thunderstorm warning continues for Limestone, Madison, Marshall, and Morgan County till 11:15. It's currently 8 minutes till 11. That storm is really not flaring up right now. Let me take a look at the surface features here. Composite mosaic. All right. Going to get back into this Sunday time frame here. And I'll get back over to the YouTube comments in a second. That's not what I wanted. Again, we're looking at the whole nation here. So we get into Sunday. It's taking a while to catch up. So here's Sunday morning. Yeah, here's the problem. We got this area low pressure out here. Let's take a look at this sounding. It's probably a tornado sounding. Oh, it says none. That's not helpful, is it? Oh, this is completely opposite of what it said yesterday. Severe. Marginal tornado. Again, this is Sunday afternoon. Severe. So, yeah, we're going to have to watch Sunday. But we just get this trough that develops over the eastern U.S. So early next week, this looks cooler than normal. And the GFS, this is way out there, it keeps trying to make a coastal low move somewhere. It's got it moving through Miami, the Florida Keys, and then on up to the north into the mid-Atlantic. It just kind of gets evolved into that. So, all right. take a close look here at some of these storms coming in from the west. Okay, I don't know what happened to my YouTube. Huh. Let me go in there real quick. Not a real good day to get any yard work done. What? Yeah, somebody was right. It's rumbling. Okay, going back into my live here and take a look at. All right. Yeah, Jackie, the tornado possible. That's the sounding from the model guidance. It's way out there. It's long range guidance. It's not. We'll just have to watch it overall. Not might have to go with a developing 48 first alert for that. Yeah, I think Kimmy. I think I just heard that thunder here too out in Harvest. But here's what we're looking at. We've got thunderstorms out there. But eventually, I think we're going to become rain cool for the afternoon. So overall, the model guidance is kind of backing off on this second evening round of thunderstorms, which is good. Again, this is very unusual for this time of year, as we've got a real strong upper level jet stream moving through, and that changes everything. So that's why we're getting a lot of, and the fact that it's from due west to east also kind of changes that a bit. Everything can change pretty quick. Someone's got a video photo of ping pong ball size hail in Decatur. So that would have been about 10 minutes ago. Let's get into that Decatur storm. It does look like it's got a little wind in it now too. It's got a bowing segment here. And that's actually east of Decatur now, moving into Triana. So some high winds moving into Triana. It's from high tops. So let's take a look. Got a bow echo here. Doesn't quite show up very good in the actual velocity data. Well, that storm's still pretty strong here from Addison to Double Springs and also south of Moulton. But the area that's not showing up very well, come on. Trying to switch back to, oh, I'm getting a circle of death here too. All right. So what's happening with this storm moving into Triana, the reason we watch these closely is because of this area right here. The wind is being forced into here. And keep in mind, and we talked about how strong the jet stream was, so some of that wind can get pushed down. That's probably increasing the wind here in Triana. So again, it doesn't show up yet, but this may show up in the velocity data here in the next two volume scans or so. Down here towards Fairview, here's that other thunderstorm. This is going to be moving towards Arab, it looks like. We've had hail has been the primary threat here. I haven't seen anything more than that. 10:50. I'm checking my email too. So again, we continue to watch that storm west of Triana, also down towards Fairview. Probably some P to dime size hail with that one. What was that? Sound like the dog got into something. All right, back here into the shoals. Again, this is just heavy rain and thunder, and that'll continue. Oh, that was my wife opening the front door. I'll be back in just a sec. I'm going to mute my mic real quick, too. All right, everybody, I'm back. Just wanted to, again, take a little bit of a break here. I don't even know how many people are left on here. Oh, 128 of you still watching. Thanks. So overall, we just have some very heavy rain going on with some of these storms, and there's still a potential for some hail with them as well. Kind of got the radar kind of scattered here, but what we're looking at moving into Triana, still some strong gusty winds, but no reports of damage, and we haven't had any damage with this yet. Severe thunderstorm warning for Franklin and Lawrence County has been canceled. That storm's moved out of the area. That's now moving closer into Coleman County. They did, man, that's a long warning. Okay, let's take a look at this. They've got us a really, really big severe thunderstorm warning out here for this storm in Arab, moving northeast into Jackson County. So that's a pretty big, to be honest, that's a really big warning coming out. And check my.
They went back to regular programming.
Okay, I saw that, yeah. right, so we've got the storm moving into Triana. Again, we just have some very heavy rain. This storm here moving into Arab just kind of upticked a bit. I think that's why they put that warning out. So going to go into the vertically integrated liquid here again. I wish they had a way I could just put these in my favorites because I don't use a lot of these other ones. But there it is, and that's why we've got the severe thunderstorm warning. I think we're looking mainly at some potential for some larger hail here with that storm. So again, Baileyton, Fairview, moving into Arab. So Arab, I put the car in the garage if you can, things like that. There's probably going to be some strong gusty winds coming in with this storm too. Take a look at the wind. The wind's not overly impressive at all though. So again, mainly hail, and that's what we kind of looked at, mainly hail with these storms. Strongest wind here is going to be west of Hartselle, and really the strongest winds are actually in the area with there's no warning. This area here near Addison. Shelby, how you doing? Shelby doesn't mind storms. I know some dogs get anxiety. But this down here is rotation in the mid-levels of the storm. This is allowing this storm to rotate and produce hail. And again, there's times when you look at rotation and it's for tornadoes, but this is more for hail. Storm relative mean velocity. And that's mainly, I just don't see this storm in Madison County being severe right now. I mean, it's got strong gusty winds. It's well away from the maximum instability as well. Okay, so we've got strong gusty winds, no doubt. Arab, just get ready for some large hail. It may get to quarter size. Is Speke okay? Yeah, I think Speke, just a lot of rain there. Maybe a wind gust of 40 miles an hour. Just looking at the latest mesoanalysis. I'm going to show you that here in just a second. This is the latest update. And again, this area in brown really indicates the higher tornado threat. And it's still well south of us. So I think Morgan County is really a precaution more than anything because the dynamics of the atmosphere don't support tornadoes right now anyway. So again, we've got this rain cool there all across northwest Alabama. No threat of severe weather there in the shoals at all. But then we have this little spike here, and it's going to update of 2,000 joules per kilogram right in here. So there's just enough instability, and that's what's leading to this hail in the storm near Arab. The wind shear, let's take a look at that. The bulk shear still maximized along the boundary and to the south of us. Storm helicity, this has not changed. This has not updated. So, again, this is off the Storm Prediction Center website. So let's go back in time here. So here's the overall look today. Let's do convective outlooks. So here's our primary threat is down here in red, the moderate risk area, which is very rare for this time of year. And they've talked about a potential for what we call a derecho, which is a long-lived, high wind event with embedded tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds, which could be over 80 miles an hour. Again, that's south of here. And these are very hard to predict. It's been a long time since we've seen a derecho in the southeast in the month of June. But the tornado threat, you can see, and this is another reason I'm really surprised they issued a tornado watch, because even their own outlook has the tornado threat way south of us. Usually you don't get a tornado watch until you get a 5%, and that's way south of here. And we don't even have 2% here, so it's just really odd. I mean, the message is really blurred, to be honest, today on that threat. I don't think we have a tornado threat here. Here's the max hail threat. Notice it's out here to the west, and this will update I think this may update at 11 o'clock or so. So maybe they are going to expand this tornado threat. And they're going to have to expand the tornado threat north just to match their tornado watch they've got out. I'm going to switch back to the radar. Get some of your questions here on Whitesburg. Just rain, lightning. Thanks. I don't think you're going to get even 1 inch hail in South Huntsville. That storm is probably not producing penny-size hail. Okay, there you go. Patrick says, warning updated to penny-size hail. Yep. So let's get in here and we're talking hail. Actually, let's go to the velocity first. And notice how the interesting thing with this Baileyton to Arab storm is the wind is outrunning the storm. I mean, the higher wind is now on the northwest side of Arab, whereas if you take a look at the reflectivity, it's there, but I think this VIL probably has dropped some. Yeah. Yeah, that storm, I don't even think you're going to get pea-size hail in Huntsville now with that storm. This is the vertically integrated liquid. This storm is not severe in Madison County anymore. And this storm is borderline severe moving into Arab. Again, these storms are moving northeast. They're moving out of the higher instability, but they're still, as you come over here, there's still that roughly 2,000 joules per kilogram right in this area here that's going to help with mainly hail. But again, no reports of any structure damage. I haven't seen any trees down. So overall, I think we're in pretty good shape right now. But there's still a lot of rain. Don't get me wrong. Much needed. This is a good soaking rain. Get rid of this. So here's all this heavy rain coming back into the shoals. Might see some flooding if this doesn't speed up a bit. I'm going to switch over here to Columbus. Wait for that radar to update. Come on, update. Yeah, this is still show me high top. Oh, you're welcome, Emily. Yeah, pretty much done. I mean, again, we just have some heavy rain back here. So, very heavy rain along I-65, roughly from the 565 interchange to the south. We're looking at maybe 40-mile-an-hour winds, strong gusty winds there. And then the storm in Arab just does not look severe. I don't have any reports right now. Yeah, Storm Chaser Brad Arnold going down to Demopolis. Yeah, the main event, so to speak, today is going to be down to the south. We've got tornado warnings down there too, so let's see what we got going on farther south. I'll have to watch this for my son down here in Auburn today. Yeah, look at all these storms down here. I would imagine we're going to see, yeah, there's a tornado watch. Current weather watches. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for the storm for DeKalb, Jackson, and Marshall County until 11:45. That's the one that was out for Arab. It just does not look severe right now. These are all pretty nasty out here for this late in June. A lot of supercell looks to them. We've got Auburn. Big storm south of Auburn, southeast of Auburn now. Let's see, that probably has some hail with it. Yeah, it weakened a bit. But yeah, these are first off going to be hailstorms, and then we got tornado warnings down here too. So let's take a look at these. Let me see if there's a closer radar here, because that's, oh yeah, there's radar right there. So we've got, and see, here's a classic example of the circulation's not very well defined close to the radar. So some of this may be elevated. because this storm has a tornado warning with it, but there's enough shear, but these don't look like they're really producing tornadoes. Let's take a look at the correlation coefficient. No confirmed tornadoes, at least radar confirmed. So again, they have these supercells going up down here, but the rotation, let's take a look at storm relative velocity. It's not all that impressive. Yeah, you know, it's this kind of goes back to I'm looking for the forecast tools here, because I don't think their storm relative velocity is very high at all. Shear's decent down there. Cape's certainly high on a boundary, but supercell composite's high, but I think they're lacking helicity. Energy helicity index, it shouldn't be ignored. It's about 1 down there. Again, I'm looking at other stuff off camera here, but the new severe thunderstorm warning for Coleman County, by the way. I think it's probably western. Let me see if I can find what I'm looking for here. Composite indices. Yeah, the EHI just dropped some, so it's not as bad. And again, that's the Auburn area down the south where you're seeing these tornado warnings, southeast Alabama, south near Dothan. Meteorologist David Paul for our sister station down there, probably tracking those on air right now. Okay, why can I not find what I'm looking for? Oh, because it's in wind shear. Storm relative velocity. Come on, computer. I'm pushing it too hard, I guess. Wait for it to update. Again, I'm having another internet. I'm going to have to look at my internet provider. Okay, the Coleman County cell is maintaining its strength, but merging with another cell along the boundary, which could lead to some intensification. So let's get back up into our neck of the woods. Yeah, I mean, the storm relative velocity is really not high enough to support tornadoes down there in South Alabama, but got tornado warnings nonetheless. So again, no confirmed tornadoes down there yet. So let's get back here and take another look at our storms. One moving into Coleman. Again, that warning continues for Gunnersville and Grant, but I just don't see a lot with that right now. Yeah, there's just so much humidity in the air right now that it doesn't, and that strong jet stream coming through, it doesn't take a whole lot to trigger stuff today. Let me check my email here real quick. No reports. Again, no confirmation of any damage. We've had reports of some large hail earlier, and the radar was looked a lot worse at that time. Helicity is a little bit higher over the shoals right now, but the Cape's really, really low. So let's get back down here into we'll go to wind. We'll go to vertically integrated liquid first. This is kind of your first, yeah, that storm in Arab's just falling apart. I don't see this, and this is, I didn't agree with how long this warning was to begin with, the way it was moving away from the instability over here all the way into Jackson County. So again, maybe it's a heads up this time of year for boaters as well. Again, there's a lot of things you need to consider when these warnings go out. So I imagine, that was going towards Gunnersville State Park. You've got people out on Lake Gunnersville, so they need that heads up. They're going to have their weather radio, like we always tell them. So it's kind of a heads up to say, hey, we got severe thunderstorm potential moving in. So I don't see that storm in Arab and moving to Gunnersville as being severe. The storm moving into, look how fast it moved out of Coleman, though. That was a quick moving storm. Let's take a look at the wind here. And the strongest wind is out here west of Coleman, west of West Point. But really just a mean cluster of thunderstorms on the northern edge of Smith Lake. I'm going to go back over here, Columbus Air Force Base, see if that radar will update. Yeah, I'm going to have to watch this area here. Just a little bit of rotation showing up southeast of Iuka. Again, this is in the area that has the higher helicity. Let's see what's going on with the... It's just not a good representation of what's going on in the atmosphere. Big thunderstorm over here. Lots of red. Very heavy rain. And then that's the thing. I think we're going to see a lot of rain here. And these storms are starting to flare up a little bit, but then they came back down. The Iuka storm's not that impressive. I think the way the radar's hitting it gives it more of that probably mid-level rotation look. Let's look at storm velocity again. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's see. Heavy rain, no wind next to Crestwood Hospital. Thanks. Big thunder outside my door there. Yeah, I didn't have any real outdoor. I wanted to get all my dirt moved yesterday before this heavy rain moved in. I was able to flatten it out, so I kind of latest backyard project going on there. I'm going to look at my phone because it's got lightning data on it. And I've got some junk voicemail. I block these guys' number every other day, and they call me back with a different number. Giving me financial advice. Okay. And the lightning's really picking back up with that storm over there in Mississippi. Again, what we're looking at is velocity here. This storm may start to produce some hail here. Southeast of Iuka, that's going to be right along Highway 72 there. Notice the trend here with this one. This one's moving southeast. Well, the general upper level winds are taking everything southeast. Yeah, I don't see I just still don't see a real tornado threat today, because everything that comes together to do it is south of us, and this air is pretty rain cool. I mean, I say rain cool, but I mean it's like June. It's hard to get true rain cool air in the area. So let's turn that off. Turn back to velocity. Yeah, this is probably mid-level, a little bit of mid-level rotation here right across the state line. Going to be south of Waterloo. May get some 40-mile-an-hour winds out of this, though. But I don't think it's going to produce a tornado. Kind of get over here. And this is kind of a well-defined area of thunderstorms is outflow, which is going to track southeast, pretty much along the same area that we were dealing with earlier. A flare up of some gusty winds here northeast of Haleyville. Probably see the winds increasing again in Moulton. Tornado warning down there near Dothan. But this will come through. Then we'll see a break in the rain this afternoon. It's going to be feel like a tropical rainforest out there. And then we'll probably see. I still think we're going to see some thunderstorms again later this afternoon, but the latest model guidance doesn't bring it back. But it didn't do a very good job this morning either, did it? And that's my laptop. Let's check some more messages here. I think Huntsville's probably just going to get heavy rain. Heavy rain. The primary threat is mainly south of the Tennessee River, and you get even farther south, and that's a much higher risk, and it's all on this complex of storms. Okay, this from the National Weather Service. The Marshall, Jackson, DeKalb County warning for the cell has weakened considerably. They're going to cancel that warning. So again, they're canceling that warning. The one over here that they issued for way out in advance. Again, I mentioned that was probably because it is along Lake Guntersville, and they were giving a heads up to boaters out there and campers. So behind this area of rain, a slight break in Hartselle and Decatur, and then more rain coming in. Big thunderstorm over here near Boonville, over in Mississippi. What time is it? It's 11:30 almost. I am going to sign off here. And I'll be doing more. Does El Nino increase our chance for off-season severe weather? Not necessarily. This is just a really bizarre pattern we've got this week. And I mentioned earlier, we're looking at Sunday for the possibility of severe weather again. And each and every day we could see some of these stronger storms. But typically this time of year we're tracking these isolated storms that pop up and they weaken. But the change is the upper level winds are really strong. The jet stream is on top of us, which is rare. And that may be an El Nino product, but El Nino really hasn't fully kicked in yet. It's still developing. But the whole principle of El Nino and the lack of Atlantic hurricanes is it increases the wind shear out over the Atlantic Ocean. And there's a lot of confusion about, they say fewer hurricanes in the Atlantic Basin, but the Gulf Coast can still see considerable hurricane development. Even with an El Nino, even with a strong El Nino. So that's just something to keep in mind. Man, I got a bunch of junk behind me, don't I? We need to clean this room, shall we? All right, back to the radar real quick here. Overall, the warnings, we've got the Coleman County warning continuing, but that doesn't look that bad. Let's switch this to a high top radar. This storm's getting wider. There's still some strong gusty winds. May see some isolated wind damage. Strong gusty winds in Eva as well. Take a look at the Ville. Nah, Ville values are down. Hail threats down. So I think we have some strong gusty winds. That's pretty much about it. All right. Need a bottle of Chattanooga Whiskey Company 95. I'll have to look for that. This is kind of part of the collection. I figured I'd just add some background ambiance, I guess. All right, well, I'm going to sign off. I'll be back on. I'll probably do another update later this afternoon from work and probably do a Facebook Live from work later today. And overall, no reports of any damage so far with this morning weather coming through. Had some large hail reports, but I haven't seen. If you guys have any pictures, feel free to send them to me. Facebook messages. Quarter size hail in Priceville, that was at 10:45. Supposed to get Lacey's right over. All right. Well, I'm going to leave you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Again, I'll have more updates later today once I get to work. Thanks for tuning in, guys.